What's up, guys? Welcome back to IT Security Labs, and here is yet another HackTheBox machine where I'll be showing you how to exploit Poison. Poison is the machine that we're going for, and this machine is packed with some really fun goodies. So guys, without wasting time, let's start with it. This machine is going to show us how to do local file inclusion, how to tunnel from VNC to SSH. So I'm very excited to show you. I've been working on this machine for a couple of days now. I got stuck, did a ton of research, and today I'll quickly show you how I did it, and I'm hoping you can learn a thing or two, and you can also hopefully implement it on your by yourself. So the first thing that we do is we need to ping. I always ping my machines. So my IP address for this machine, let's see, let me just check quickly here, is 84 10.10.10.84. Let's type in there 10.10.10.84, and this machine, as you can see, is responding. I'm a VIP member of the HackTheBox community. Join for like 10 or 12 bucks a month, and you have access to these machines. These are retired machines, so I can actually show you how to hack them. So they're really fun. I have a lot of fun almost every day. It doesn't take too long, an hour or so. Then the next thing that we need to do is just run our nmap scan, which is the usual. If you've been following my series, you know that this is just my regular scan, and this regular scan will show us any open ports, and it will output using the default scripts, of course, to a folder called nmap in my directory Poison. So this shouldn't take too long, and after it's done, I'll show you what we have. So as you can see, we got the usual nmap output, except this time it's very interesting. Wow, it's not really interesting. We have port 22 and port 80. The two boring ports here, but so let's go ahead and find what's on port 80, because we like port 80. So we say 10.10.10.84. Oh, interesting. So you see sites to be tested. So it's just telling us to test these files. I guess we don't have to use Dirbuster today, as you can see, because we can just test these files here. And whoa, what is this? Let's view source to arrange them properly. Okay, that's one file. We have more to go. Info.php. And there we go. Submit that. Okay, we'll get some interesting information here. We know that FreeBSD, Poison, and whatever release that is, that could be interesting in a different time. Then let's go list files.php. That's an interesting one. Submit. And as you can see, guys, we get a file called, it looks like password backup.txt. So that's definitely something that will arise your interest. But also what's of interest is, look at how the output is just handled by this website. We're saying file equals, and we're just writing the names of files just like that. So this tells us that we have some invalid, or this website is actually not validating user input at all. It's just pointing straight to the files. So that's the local file inclusion bug or exploit that I showed you earlier in my previous video, where that was the solution that gave us a root right away. So if since I have this password.txt here, I should be able to just copy. It says file equals. Let's just paste it here and enter. Okay, it says this password is secured, it's encoded at least 13 times. And if you have seen base 64 before, you know that this is it. This is base 64. Okay, copy, but it says it's encoded 13 times. So I do a base 64 decoder. Just use a online decoder. The only trouble is, of course, it's a waste of our time. It was done 13 times. So if you have time and you don't want to write a custom Python script to do this, you just come in here, paste it, and do decode. And then you go and copy this and paste it back up here and do and decode. So what you will notice that the string is changing and it's becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And you keep doing this 13 times, which is annoying. That's why you probably want to write a Python script. I couldn't do that. So let me show you what I did. Here, you do it 13 times. This will be the final one, and when you decode it, this is the password. So I just go ahead and do a copy of the password, and then now that we have a password, I will write that one down in my notes so I don't forget. As I do this, I'm taking screenshots and putting the passwords and everything aside. All right, so we have our password that I just showed you. So going back to our site, that was just the password.txt, but we still have beef with this website. It's not validating any new input, and we have Lfi vulnerabilities here. So what do we do? I showed you last time that with local file inclusion, you can test, and here's a wiki page that you can read. And as you can see here, typical proof of concept will be to load a password file. So literally, where it says file equals, let's put this, because it's a local file inclusion, right? So we do that. This is one of those low-hanging fruits that once you do it a couple of times, it's very easy. So let's keep doing this. Maybe we don't have it long enough. So we do data and enter. No, I have a space here. I don't want that. There we go. Looks like we're getting somewhere. So we just needed to add a few more. So you just keep adding here until you see something that works. So if I do a view source, so I can format this properly, I might get some interesting information. And looking right here, you will see that we have user. Yeah, we have a user here, Charix, and we've just found a password over there. So we can try that. We also have Charlie. So let's go ahead and try to get in. Going back to our terminal, we know that we have port 22 that's open. So let's try to sign in as Charix with the password that we just found. So let's open a new tab and we SSH Charix at 10.10.10.84. And yes, I do. All right, there we go. It wants my password, and just copying and pasting the password. if you remember from our base 64, we also and paste it here and enter. That was simple. Now we got shell as a person. So that was local file inclusion. Again, check it out on the GitHub. I'll try to remember to link to it. So from here, let's find our first flag. What's going on here? So we can just do cat user.text. And there it is, first flag. So now we're going for root.text. And that's where the fun begins. Usually, user.text isn't so bad. So we can do sudo -L to see. Okay, sudo command not found. So that's that's a dead end. We need to find out what's going on with this machine. And usually when I do sudo -L, that might work. The other option that I did earlier was to get my lin in Noob and see if there's something here. So that's okay. So let's find out all the files that are within this directory. We're just trying to find a way to get out of this charix and end up as root here. So there's a few ways that we do is we run the lin in Noob, or sometimes we just poke around the file system and try to find out what's going on in there. So ls -al will list all the files and the permissions are tied to them. So right away we see that we have secret.zip. So that's a very interesting one. So what's in that? But as you can see here, these are our permissions. Read, write, and we want that secret.zip to come to our machine so we can access it and see what's going on in there, because that's a clue. If my enumeration for sudo failed, this is one thing to do. So we need to transfer that file back to us. So let's go ahead and copy secret.zip. Copy secret.zip temp. The reason why we're copying it to the temp folder is because usually we can have read and write access to that. So going to our temp folder, we find that if we do an ls here, we see secret.zip. So we need to move this folder to our local Kali machine here. And to do that, we just use SCP. And this is one of those things that you have to know how to do on the fly. Just moving SCP using the user charix to the location and the file that we want to move. That's how you move files to your local machine. It's very simple. And then it's going to ask us for charix's password. Then we will enter that as soon as it comes up here. So we just go ahead and paste charix's password that we decoded earlier. Oh, there's a typo. I need to go in the temp folder. Now this should succeed. So as you can see, we now have our file here. Let's do an ls. Then let's find more information about this file. We can do file secret.text, .zip, zip archive. Can we extract this file? Let's find out. Unzip secret.zip, secret password. Okay, let's try to reuse the same password that we know. Okay, so now we have secret. Let's do a cat secret. Okay, what is this nonsense? File secret. Let's find out what we're dealing with here. Okay, so it's a file. This looks like a password file of some sort. So what we can do is enumerate more. We have to enumerate more to find out what's going on here, because since we have a password file that we cannot read, we'll find out what is it for, at least then we'll know what to use to read it. Okay, so we have our file. Now we need to enumerate more and find out what's going on with that this machine. We have a secret file. We don't know what it's for, so our job right now is find out what it's for. We have to know everything there is to know on this machine. That's why we ran next netstat. I need to type netstat -an. Netstat will show us all the commands that we have here. What am I doing here? Netstat -an. So we'll see all the services and ports that are open and what's going on. What are the connections we have? Interesting, we're listening on localhost only, which is fascinating. This should be listening externally, but somehow they're listening on localhost only. 5801, 5901. What ports are those? They didn't even show up here, mostly because they are listening locally, so they didn't show up on our nmap scan. However, if you do some research, you find out that this is a VNC. These are VNC ports. So that's interesting. We're VNC listening locally. Why and how do we exploit that is something that I spent some time researching, and you get the good part where I tell you exactly how I did it. Okay, so since we know that this is VNC, we're going to assume that this has something to do with our password file that we just downloaded earlier. That's in here, and it's named secret. And I did some research online to find if I can crack a VNC secret password file, and this is the decryptor that I found. So I'll show you how. Work with me here as I show you how we can make it work. I think I might. So this one, it says that it decrypts the stored VNC password. As you can see right here. So we need to somehow find a way to do this. So let's clone this. Clone. This should give me. So now it's in here. Let's do an ls cd vnc password ls. There it is. And this thing, this is what I do. I'm trying to make usage. Compile, just run make or gcc. Okay, let's do that. It tells us how to use it, so let's go and then paste it. See if it works. Okay, looks like it works. The program to decrypt VNC password. I have our password, our secret here, and VNC password little program. So let's just do that. VNC pwd, and we also want to run that against our secret. And sure enough, there we go. VNCP $$. That is easy, guys. So I just learned something cool here about this VNC password program. So I just copy that password to my notes. I will name it VNC word. You cannot see my notes here, but I have some notes going on for this. So that's the VNC password. Okay, now we're back to our machine, and we know that this is VNC and it's listening locally. If you do any research about VNC and SSH, because we remember from our initial results here that we have SSH open and we are actually able to SSH into it. The one thing that you'll notice is that since these are local ports for VNC, you can forward these ports from this local port to a separate local port for the user and be able to actually access them remotely. I found a wonderful document that I'll share with you. This is something that blew my mind that it even happens, where it explained to you how you can forward local VNC ports and also access them via SSH. So let's open this image, which I think will be very cool to take a look at it. Let's zoom into it. I don't know if you can see this, but this is what's happening here. VNC client is listening locally on 699. We can forward that to an SSH client. Then we can tunnel it through SSH to another port. Then we can use on the other side VNC to also view the port. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but if I'm not, just go ahead and read this wonderful documentation that they have here. It's amazing. I'm going to add this to my notes, and I'll be looking forward to any machines that have funny business like this in the OSCP, because I didn't know that it's even a thing. So without wasting any of your time, let me show you how it works. Right here, they do explain that we need to say SSH, then specify the local port, local host, and the port that we want to tunnel to for SSH. Then we specify the user. That's what we're going to do here. From these results of netstat here, we see that we have VNC, and we can set up from, like I showed you from the results here, local port forwarding. And this is how you do it. In our Kali Linux, we know that we have VNC running over here. So let's go ahead and just tell our Kali Linux to listen on that particular port. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but what we're doing here, let me just paste it quick. We're going to use port forwarding for SSH 5901 to localhost using Charix's creds here. And the password should be, I have it in my notes, so I'll just copy and paste. And there we go. We can paste it and enter. As you can see, it looks like it worked. Next, we use the VNC viewer utility. Now that we know that we are tunneling our VNC traffic through SSH on that port, we can do the same to go through SSH to the other machine now and connect to the 5901 port. So let's just open a new tab, and this is how you connect using VNC viewer. And the reason why we specify the password secret is I learned quickly that with VNC you can even specify the password file, so I didn't have to go through the pain of decrypting like I showed you. But either way, let's go ahead and do that. And as you can see, whoa, things are happening. So we are root, as you can see right here. It's a very weird way of doing it. Let's do a print working directory, ls cat root.txt. Man, this was quite a machine. Had so much fun, and we finally pawned this. So this is definitely going in my notes, where we can tunnel through SSH to a VNC. So if I ever see VNC listening on a local host, I know that I have to do this. Highly enjoyed this one. It did take a long time, about an hour for me to do all this research, but as you can see, this is a guide that I'm definitely going to bookmark and keep for my records as well, because it does give you a few examples of how you can do it. and this is what I used right here. So guys, this has been a lot of fun. Subscribe, like this video if you enjoy this content. Today I'm more upbeat because this was a challenging machine and I learned a ton. So guys, if you enjoy this content, remember to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think, or if you're planning on taking the OSCP, or if you're part of a red team. I'm very eager to learn, and I will see you guys in the next video.